But the thing which I least admire about Narayana Maharaj is that I'm quite certain that he is the person that inspired Tamal to poison Prabhupada. But Tamal didn't know anything about stuff like that. Tamal was going around saying that Prabhupada was senile and losing his marbles. And so when Tamal was saying that Prabhupada was senile, I can imagine he told that to Narayana Maharaj, because he told it to, I overheard him saying it to Shyama and I didn't kill him, unfortunately, because he's my Vartna Pradaksha Guru. He convinced me of Krishna as being God. I couldn't kill him, but if he had not been my Vartna Pradaksha Guru, I would have killed him, and Prabhupada normally would have lived another 10 years. Another great deficit on my part. So what happens is that Tamal is busy talking about how Prabhupada's old and senile. So if he said that to Narayana Maharaj, can you just imagine what Narayana Maharaj would say? He said, you can't let that go on. Because if he's senile, when he's giving class, he'll start drooling and staring into space, and all of his books will be of no use. It'll be gone. It'll be useless. He will have destroyed his movement. You, out of love for Prabhupada, you have to do something to stop his senility from becoming widely known. And how did they do that? They poisoned it.
Who stopped it, Prabhu, from going to Narayana Maharaj?
Narayana Maharaj, I think, was the inspiration behind Tamal poisoning. Tamal would, in spite of his enormously conceited nature, could never have brought himself to poison Prabhupada.
Narayana Maharaj
had to come from what he considered to be a higher authority. And as soon as Prabhupada was poisoned to death, he was in samadhi, Tamal began to bring all the select ISKCON devotees to Narayan for Rasika teaching. And Narayan was always praising Tamal, saying, oh, Tamal is the most advanced of all of Prabhupada's disciples, etc., like that. He's the most advanced. And he was buttering them up in front of ISKCON brothers like Chaudharani, the book changers and stuff like that. And
one question?
What? Yes.
And then most of the disciples followed Tamal to Narayana Maharaj?
No. This is what happened. Tamal wanted Narayana Maharaj to become the Acharya of ISKCON.
Okay.
So he was buttering them up and getting a lot of senior devotees from ISKCON to go there and get buttered up with Narayana Maharaj also. So what happened is that Tamal proposed to the GBC in 1991 that Narayana Maharaj be at the Mayapur GBC meeting, yuck, be awarded the acharyaship of the ISKCON movement. And so they put it on the agenda and they discussed it for a long time. In the end, they decided, no, we're not going to do that. And then they told Tamal, if you ever see Narayana Maharaj again, you will be banned out of ISKCON. So Narayana Maharaj dropped Narayana Maharaj, Tamal dropped Narayana Maharaj like a hot potato. And he didn't ever go to see Narayana Maharaj again, which was devastating to Narayana Maharaj because obviously Tamal was promising that he'd become the guru of ISKCON. And
it's kind of ironic.
Maharaj was stupid enough to believe that was true, that Tamal had the power to do that. So anyhow, later on, Narayana Maharaj said, oh, I always knew that Tamal had poisoned Prabhupada. That's after Tamal had betrayed him, or so Narayana Maharaj thought. Said, yeah, I always knew that Tamal had poisoned Prabhupada. And you say, what? You say? You always knew, but you were there when Prabhupada was being poisoned. If you're this tricollegial, why didn't you stop Tamal from poisoning Prabhupada? Can you see how stupid Narayana Maharaj was? He said, I always knew that Tamal was poisoning Prabhupada. If he knew, why didn't he stop it?
The spot napping.
Or was he going to say, I encouraged Tamal to poison Prabhupada so that I could become the Acharya of this con? So that's what I think of Narayana Maharaj.
And what sort of life he was leading in his ashram, Narayana Maharaj?
What was he doing?
What sort of life? He was a real sannyasi or?
He's a sannyas.
Yeah, was he real
From his
sannyasi?
guru. He took sannyas on his guru 7 years before Prabhupada took sannyas.
I mean, was he okay as a sannyas or did he deviate?
Well, there was said that they found him sneaking out of his wife's house early on in the sannyas period. But aside from that, he presumably remained sannyas. He didn't have a reputation of being a womanizer, pedophile, or anything like that.
Where did this Rasika kind of philosophy come from? Where does it have its origins? Who practices?
Say that again?
Where does this Rasika kind of teachings come from? Who practices it? Under which category?
Oh, Rasika? Are you saying Rasika?
Yeah.
The Rasika is, I think, coming from Jiva Goswami.
Okay.
The only problem is that we're not much advanced enough to be able to understand it properly, and so then that way it's being misused.
So, but everyone cannot access it. No one should be following it, even though it's only for exalted.
When you need the proper guidance platform in order to learn it, you can't just artificially go in and say, I want to learn this and pick it up, start learning. You need that specific guidance and
Exactly.
Initiation.
The Rasika cannot be taken up. It's only for pure devotees to discuss.
Pure devotees.
Only for Uttamadhikaris, is it? Only for Uttamadhikaris.
Well, it's
Madhyam and Uttama, I would say.
excuse me. So what happened is that the Rasika. Prabhupada described that the way to achieve perfection, including Uttamadhikari platform, is part of this process, is to start the Srimad Bhagavatam from the first canto. And when you read the first canto, you are actually in the process of worshiping Krishna's lotus feet. The first canto is the feet of Lord Krishna. And you progress up through his ankles, through his knees, to his thighs, to his waist, to his arms, to his neck, and then to his head. And the head is the 10th canto. So you cannot jump the Rasika teachings are from the highest realm of the 10th canto. So you cannot go there until you have not have read the 10 cantos, but realized each 10 of the 10 cantos. In other words, you become a pure devotee of Krishna's lotus feet. Then you become a pure devotee of his knees. Each canto, you become a pure devotee of that level of understanding Krishna.